Hey guys, it's Vince and Drew with Power 5 Fanatics again coming at you, heading into week 5 of the college football season. And we thought we would do our pick 'em against the spread video. So y'all kick back, relax, and we'll go through each game. We picked about, I'd say, how many do we have, Drew? 10 or
I think
12?
11 or something, but we're doing it a little bit different this week. We had kind of been trying to decide on a game, and it's been a little bit rough around the edges because I'll have an opinion, he'll have an opinion. So this week we decided to actually pick our own team.
And then y'all decide who's the best prognosticator.
Yeah,
we're going to start off with Friday's games tonight. There's a couple really good ones. The first one's Penn State at Maryland, Big Ten matchup. Penn State is giving 6.5 on the road, which is a lot of points on the road. And we both agreed that Maryland would cover that. You know, Maryland was off last week, I believe.
right.
Pretty sure they were. And they started the season really strong, and then they played Ohio State and kind of hit a brick wall.
They played Temple and lost.
Oh yeah, they also lost to Temple. Don't
Yeah.
forget that. The first two games looked really good, and then they've kind of struggled lately. But they did lose to Ohio State pretty good too. I think in week 3, I believe.
I think they played Indiana that week. I don't know if they played Maryland. Anyways, they kind of hit a brick wall offensively.
They hit a brick wall. We think they're going to punch through the wall and get better. So we like Maryland in that game.
Yeah, I don't like taking road favorites on a weekday, and Penn State's the road favorite on a weekday at Maryland. And the reason I say that, weird things happen on Friday night, especially when the favorite has to go on the road. So that's why I like Maryland in that game.
Second game, we got Arizona State at Cal. Cal is giving the Sun Devils 4 points. So Cal favored by 4. We like Cal to cover there.
I like TCU. That's
right.
Like Arizona State.
You like Arizona State. So here's the first one we disagree with. I just can't believe you would take Arizona State there. But give me your reason, Drew.
My reasoning behind that, originally I was kind of leaning towards Cal because Chase Garbers, their quarterback, has kind of come on. I say come on. Last week he had a great game against Ole Miss. I think he threw like 23 of 30 or something, 356 yards and 3 or 4 touchdowns and only 1 interception. And, of course, their defense has been really good. But Arizona State under Herm Edwards is just – every game they're either winning or losing by 3 or 4 points.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
And I just kind of have a feeling that I'm going to take Arizona State to win outright in this game. I think this might be Cal's first loss. Not that I don't think Cal's a really good team, because I really do. But
I like Cal. They're undefeated. They have everything in front of them. They've been playing really good, whether it's on the road or at home.
Right.
And I like them at home. 4 points isn't a lot. Okay, moving on. We got going to the Big 12 this Saturday. Kansas at TCU. And TCU's giving a pretty good chunk of points there, 15.5.
Right.
And we both like TCU covering there. Kansas has been really inconsistent offensively this year. They lost to Coastal Carolina. At times, their offense has been totally inept. They looked better the last time they played. TCU's been a little bit Jekyll and Hyde-ish too.
Yeah.
Mainly with their defense. They've either looked really good, or last week against SMU, they gave up a lot of points and a lot of yards. But I think they're going to bounce back. They're a better team, and they do have to win by 15.5, but I think they're going to win somewhere in the 21 to 24 point win.
I want to take Gary Patterson at home here against Kansas. Kansas has obviously gotten better. They haven't won a true road game since 2008, and they blew out Boston College on the road. And that right there is just a sign of them getting better.
Not that it's saying a lot, but
yeah. But they have gotten better because they haven't done that in a while.
I know they are getting better.
Like Vince was saying, they are very up and down, and who knows what Kansas team we're going to get.
I think TCU is still a pretty good team, and we like them both to cover there.
Right.
Moving on, this is the 11 o'clock Central game, 12 East Coast.
Big noon game on Fox.
Yeah, Texas Tech at Oklahoma. Both of their first Big 12 games of the year. Texas Tech I really can't get much of a gauge on them yet because their first two opponents were, I think it was Montana State and UTEP, I believe. And, sometimes it's hard to tell exactly where a program's at when they're playing, some of these smaller programs. But then they really got beat pretty good by 2 touchdowns against Arizona a couple weeks ago. Oklahoma, I think we've seen a better sample size from them, maybe, especially the way they beat up on UCLA 2 weeks ago. Both these teams are off this last week, but we like Oklahoma winning big in this game, like really big. They're giving 27 points, and I do think they will cover that. Like, I'm thinking it could be somewhere in the like it could get ugly, maybe 49-20, something like that.
Yeah, I'm taking Oklahoma here too, at home. Both these teams came off a bye week, and I'll just be honest. Tech's defense has looked a little bit better this year, but Oklahoma has been able to pile on the points this season, and I can't say for sure yet I trust Tech's defense enough to hold them below 4 touchdowns.
I agree.
And I can't trust Tech's offense enough right now with a backup
they got to back up
to score within 4 touchdowns. So
that's the biggest problem I got, their offense, Tex. I don't know if they can get over 20 points against Oklahoma, and I think that's going to be enough for Oklahoma.
And I think Oklahoma's defense is a tad bit better. I'm not saying they're I think they're outside of the top 50 on overall defense, but I do think they're gotten a little bit
better than they've been.
So,
going back to the Big Ten, this is a pretty good matchup. Northwestern at Wisconsin. Wisconsin coming their next game after that huge win where they blow out Michigan. So this is kind of a big game for them because they've come back to earth now. Now they got to play everybody else after they beat Michigan.
Right.
And I think they will cover the 24.5. Drew disagrees with me on that. My reasoning with Wisconsin is arguably they look like a top 4 school. I mean, that's how good I actually still need to see some proof of that. This would be one of those games, where they can add on to the resume, and I just think they're too much. They do have the best running back, and he's definitely playing at a Heisman level right now, and their defense has given up 14 points the entire year. That's enough for me to think they will cover that in a blowout win against Northwestern.
Yeah, I'm taking Northwestern in this game to cover the 24.5. I like how it's a half point above the 3 touchdown and 1 field goal range. And not that I think Northwestern is going to be able to score on Wisconsin, but I think the question in this game is how is Wisconsin going to respond to success? Having just come off a big...
You're thinking they may have like a letdown?
They could have a little bit of a letdown, and another reason I'm taking Northwestern here is I really like Pat Fitzgerald as a coach covering the spread. He's been almost money. I mean, every week he almost covers the spread, whether he wins outright or just covers the, whatever spread he has. And this is a pretty big spread here. I think Northwestern has been a little bit worse than we thought. Is Hunter Johnson going to be able to get better as a quarterback there?
Yeah, they've been a little disappointing this year.
Maybe this week will be that week that maybe he can kind of turn it on. And so I'm going to go ahead and take the road team here to cover.
Moving on, another big program as far as that also had a big game last week. And so they're coming back and they're playing at home now, Notre Dame against Virginia this weekend. And I'm kind of thinking Notre Dame might kind of what Drew was addressing with the Wisconsin. Maybe they might have a little bit of a letdown. They're giving Virginia 11.5 points. I like Virginia to cover just because of that I think Virginia may be able to come in. They've been pretty solid all the way around. They are undefeated. And I do think Notre Dame's going to win. I just think Virginia will cover the spread, getting plus 11.5.
Yeah. I like Virginia to cover here as well. I think Notre Dame will win the game. But Notre Dame has struggled against the run, and Bryce Perkins is a true dual threat quarterback for Virginia. He doesn't only run; he also has a great arm. But he can make game-changing plays with his legs. And like Vince was saying, I also think they're going to be coming off an emotional win. Or I'm sorry, they lost last week, but an emotional game.
It was an emotional game. From
Yeah.
what I heard from Coach Kelly, had said that it was one of the most physical games
Yeah.
he'd ever seen.
Which I believe.
As a coach, like,
Yeah.
I mean, you could like hear some of the pops and stuff, and
Right.
and that's kind of my reasoning there too. Notre Dame might have emotionally left a lot of it out there because it was such a huge.
This is a tough
game.
team right here, Virginia.
I think they
So
will win though.
I think
but
they'll
I just
cover,
don't think
but
they'll
won't
cover.
win.
I'm
So-
thinking something like 30-24 maybe.
Right. I think that's right.
Pac-12 heading out west, USC at Washington. The Pac-12 is just. I mean, who knows what's going to happen with that conference?
Yeah.
It's like everybody's beating everybody else up. You have about 4 teams right now that, maybe 5 teams I would say would be legitimate to actually win the Pac-12. I mean, these 2 teams, definitely USC, Washington. Of course, you still got Utah. I know they lost last week. And Colorado even. And then, of course, Washington State, is not out of it by any means. And let's don't forget Oregon. So there's no telling what's going to happen with that. They are playing in Seattle. I do like Washington, though, covering that. USC does not have Slovis again.
Yeah.
And so I just don't know if they're going to have enough guns for this to happen. I think Washington will cover the 10.5.
Yeah, I think Washington's going to cover at home against USC. I think USC has come out and surprised a lot of people this year.
They really have. I mean, I got to give them credit.
Surprised
Out
me
of
too.
any program I've seen, I would say they're playing above what everybody maybe was thinking, even
Right.
though it hasn't been perfect. When the chips are on the table, they've
come out and
they've come out and really played
either
good.
won the game or kept the game close.
But the way Washington's playing right now, I think it's just going to be too much for them, especially with their third-string quarterback,
Right.
Fink, right?
Yeah, Matt Fink, I
Yeah.
believe.
All right, we got another great one in the Big 12. This is one I'm actually really looking forward to watching. I'll need to find out what time this one's at, but I'm going to tune in. Kansas State or Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's giving 4.5. We disagree on this one. I like Kansas State covering the 4.5, as an upset special. Okay. In fact, I'm just calling it. Kansas State will win that game, and I know Oklahoma State had an emotional win or loss to Texas last week. I think Kansas State's defense is the real deal. This is probably going to be their biggest test of the year, but I think they're going to have enough to pull it out.
Yeah, I mean that's a good call. This is a tough game to really decide. I think this game is going to have a lot to do with kind of the top end of the Big 12. Of course, right now in the power rankings, you have Oklahoma and Texas, but who is that third team right now?
It's probably Oklahoma State, what most people
Right.
would say, but I think Kansas State's right there.
And this game's going to help decide that. But I'm going to go
Definitely.
ahead and go with Oklahoma State at home. It's hard to pick against Mike Gundy. He kind of pulls out the rabbit out of the hat every week, and Chris Kleiman, I'm sorry, with Kansas State, the first-year head coach. I think he's been fantastic, by the way. But Mike Gundy, this is kind of his element at home, and I just think I could see them winning by a touchdown, like 42-35 or 35-28, something like maybe not 28, but I could see 42-35 pretty easily. So I'm gonna take Oklahoma State to cover that 4.5 at home.
Next game, Washington State at Utah. Again, 2 of the teams we just mentioned a while ago. So everybody's slugging it out in the Pac-12 right now. Utah's giving 6. We both like Washington State to cover. My reasoning, I just don't see how in the world their defense can play like that again, the way they did the second half
Against UCLA.
UCLA.
Yeah.
They're gonna keep scoring Washington State, and this could be one where I wouldn't be surprised if Washington State bounce backs and actually wins the game. So we both like Washington State getting the points, getting 6 points there.
Yeah.
At Utah. Next SEC matchup, Mississippi State at Auburn. Auburn is giving 10 points. They've been looking extremely good,
Especially on defense.
Yeah, well, their athletes are
superb athletes.
Yeah, superb athletes. I'm talking about their receivers, running backs, all the skill positions.
And
A
their
lot of
offensive
team
line has
speed.
been a lot better than it was last year too.
They looked really good against A&M last Saturday, and I think it's just going to continue at home. Drew agrees. Only 10 points. I think they're going to win by maybe 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, Bo Nix needs to get a little bit better, but he's a true freshman. But like Vince was saying, their defense is top notch. Their defensive line's elite, and they got great team speed. Some of those skill position guys. I just, Mississippi State, they have kind of been up and down. They lost to Kansas State a few weeks ago. Auburn at home, that's a tough place to play.
Yeah.
I'm taking Auburn. So.
And our last one, Ohio State at Nebraska. Another very intriguing matchup.
Yeah.
I mean, you got the elite of the league against one of those schools that we thought might be elite in the Big Ten
We'll see what happens
West
this week.
But they are playing in Lincoln,
Yeah.
and that's why I like Nebraska. I'm not picking them to win this game, but the line's 17. I think they will cover, getting 17 points.
This one's one I'm going back and forth on. This one's tough. I did take Ohio State in this game. They've just been so good so far. I mean, their defense has been a lot better than I thought it
You
was
can't
gonna be.
argue with that.
Justin Fields has got 19 touchdowns and 1 interception through 4 games. He's explosive. They got a great run game. Their offensive line's a lot better than I thought.
That's another great game. I think a lot of people are going to want to watch
But
that.
Nebraska's been kind of Jekyll and Hyde as well. I mean, they're 1 week who knows what Nebraska team you're going to get. You could get one of these Scott Frost specials where they come out and they just play really good. Who knows when this team could flip a switch here any week. But I'm going to go ahead and stick with Ohio State this week, and not super confident. We'll see what happens.
Very good, guys. Hey, we appreciate you watching, and hang in there. We're going to be putting even some more videos out the rest of this weekend. And subscribe, like, share, hit the notification bell. We'll have some more videos coming out. We'd like to share them with you, and we appreciate you watching. Thanks.